So once we have the whole blade glued together, we're going to be filling all these gaps. So you see these gaps that we have here, where the seams meet. We can see that there's clear gaps there that need to be filled. Basically all the places that we glued it together. The edges might not meet up, especially the sharp area, sharp blade bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to, first of all, we're going to use masking tape, and we're going to mask the area next to the edge. So not right up to the edge, just after it. The reason we're using the sellotape is to make sure that the resin that we're going to use doesn't cover the holes, doesn't cover the scratch marks, so it retains the detail. So say we have a seam here. Obviously we don't want to put the sellotape on the seam, we want to put it next to the seam, so that when we put the resin on, the resin doesn't go into the detail, into the scratches. So we retain the detail, but we can wipe the excess resin off with a scraper. And the way I do it, I use my nail to push it into the plastic. That way the resin won't squish into underneath the sellotape, masking tape. So obviously you don't need to do the whole area, just the places where there is a gap. This area, for example, that looks actually like it's super glued pretty well. So I might not even put resin there. I don't need sellotape there, so I'm just going to move on to the next bit. You can do it even before that, a lot of that. That is good. This one needs to go even further back. Because we need to fill it in quite a bit more. So the reason I'm actually filling this one before is because this is just one of the back pieces, but I just didn't want to scrap it, so I'm just going to fill this in. I'm going to put the sellotape all the way backwards because this needs to be filled in. There's a gap. This is curved, so we need to fill this in. Just do that down. Okay. Just use your nail. Make sure there's good contact. And once you're done with one side, just flip it over. It's a bit dusty this time. So the gap will be filled with the resin, but the detail, the scratches, it won't, because we've got masking tape on top that can just peel right off. See, that's a big gap that needs to be filled. Another big gap. For epoxy resin, I recommend JB Weld. This is very, very strong. JB Weld, the original formula. It's a two-part mix. One is steel, one is a hardener. And you mix 50-50. So whatever you squeeze out from one of them, you squeeze out the same amount of the other. You can start off with small drops, and then if you run out, you just mix some more. So I'm just going to start with a small bit, and just wipe it clean. Put it on here. So obviously, also the surface that you're using should be quite smooth. Paper might tear, so maybe use some cardboard. Cardboard is pretty smooth. Maybe some packaging. This works very well because it's smooth. And then you want to use some sort of spatula or a spare bit of plastic, so you could just push the resin on. That's the steel. And now we've got the hardener. So as I said, it needs 50-50, so put it on next to it. That looks like there could be a bit more of the hardener, so yeah. Just make sure not to get it on the floor, because this stuff is washable, but just make sure you wash it off quick. Don't let it harden on you. So you can use another piece to scrape it back off. Just keep folding it basically. This is just a mixing process. Yeah, once it's looking at that grey colour, that's pretty much good to go. Just get it in one area. So we've got loads there. And scrape the excess off. You don't want to go using that much straight away. So grab some, that. Just also, if you've got sellotape on top of sellotape, go with the grain, if that makes sense, so you don't fold the sellotape back. Make sure to push the epoxy resin into the hole, to where the slot was. It may be a good idea to wear gloves. You don't want to get the epoxy resin on your hands. It is washable, but you need to be quick with the washing. So see, I'm starting to run out pretty quick. Right, when you start running out, you might want to scrape the edges off here. In that kind of angle, just to make sure it doesn't go onto the bit that's not masked. So this is quite a messy job, you can see it's on my fingers already. So now, before you move on to the other side, you flip the sword over. So if your fingers are dirty, just grab the masking tape bits. Better to have full access, so this side is coming towards you. This is quite a bit of a tricky bit, so here we go. Well, that's a bit too much epoxy. Just going to spread it on to the next one, because I've got a bit of excess epoxy. Keep in mind, the putty is going to help a lot, and after sanding, this is going to clear up very nicely. So although this process is messy for now, it would all clear up, as long as you do it correctly, of course. But these gaps are very, very minimal on this print, so this one's quite easy. here, I'm pretty much nearly out of the JB weld. So I'm just gonna collect some from the epoxy that's on the masking tape. Just scrape it at an angle where it goes into the hole. So you see it starts collecting more if you angle it correctly. See? If you can see that the 3D printed sword has segments, it doesn't look very nice. Now this, I got a metal rod through this. This is for the full builds, so this isn't for the kits, but I'm just showing it anyway because I'm doing a whole sword.